Today on Straight Talk Africa, look at the Nigerian booming film industry, Nollywood, and the popular and dynamic African music scene. That's coming up next, right here on Straight Talk Africa. I have to say, frankly, that I have the honor to be introducing a new guest right here. And she is, of course, Elizabeth London.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
But I understand you're also known as Sue.
Yes, Elizabeth Sue London.
Elizabeth Sue London,
Yes.
one of the most talented transcontinental actress and model who hails from the land of the Oga, Nigeria.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Absolutely.
I gather that, of course, you have appeared in several Nollywood and some Hollywood movies.
Yes, I have.
Well, I have to say, frankly, Sue Elizabeth London, that I'm profoundly honored.
Thank you.
And exceedingly humble.
Thank you.
So I'm an opportunity to interact with you for the first time on Straight Talk Africa.
Absolutely.
And
Happy to be here.
we hope next time you bring some of your colleagues, including Ewan Omutora, Jalade Ekenide. This is the lady that appeared on this show when it was pretty much in its infancy in Studio 18.
Wow.
But I have since not heard from her. She kind of like sort of became very big and dumped us.
Yeah. I actually love her work a lot, and I look up to her a lot in the industry. She's done some wonderful and great things. So, yeah, I'm proud of her.
Talk to us about Nollywood. First of all, why is it called Nollywood?
I think it's called Nollywood because it's the Nigerian industry, and I guess they kind of just Hollywood, Nollywood. I'm really not sure why that's the name.
I mean,
but
it's supposed to be the third largest film industry in the world, correct?
Absolutely.
That is closely behind Bollywood of India, Hollywood of Los Angeles, and Nollywood of Lagos.
Yes. Yeah. They've really done great for themselves. I mean, it's, like you said, one of the biggest industries in the world, and the fans, I feel like, are addicted. You know, they can't get enough, and I think that's why they're really one of the major industries in the world right now.
What makes you tick in as far as Africa is concerned? Is it because you have a product that appeals or resonates with the African audience?
I think they tell the stories of the African audience. They tell the stories in the villages and the cities, what really goes on in the heart of Africa. And I think that's why people are really drawn and addicted to it, and they just want to see more and more of it. And they blow it up, and it's really dramatic, and that's what people are drawn to.
When you compare Nollywood and Hollywood, what is the difference for you?
Of course, Hollywood, big budgets.
Yes.
Can't go wrong there.
Number one, yeah.
Number one.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
They have everything it takes to make a big budget movie. But I think the difference with Nollywood is that the budget is not really there. So maybe that's definitely one of the huge differences. The resources are not as much as we'll have it in Hollywood. So I think those two are the major differences.
Well, what about the quality? Because as far as from what I have seen is that it takes, frankly, a couple of days, if not weeks, for Nollywood, to be on the table.
Yeah.
And it takes months and sometimes years for Hollywood.
Yes, and that falls back again on resources, I feel. If you have the resources to produce a $1 million movie, of course that's going to take years. It's going to take a lot of time for post-production, color correction, and all the different things that goes into a really great movie. And with Nollywood, we just don't have those resources right now. And the funding, to go as far as producing Hollywood quality movies.
But you probably compensate by having your films really resonate pretty much with the audience. Because when I go to the mother continent, Africa, and I'm in my hotel room, and you switch on the DSTV, the television, all you see, frankly, is Nollywood. Why do you pretty much, focus on juju. Why is juju a very important?
Well, that I don't know. But I think it goes back to the culture of the country and Africa as a continent. I mean, we have herbalists, juju people that believe in that, and those religions and cultures. And I think going back to telling those stories once again, we can't deny what really happened.
And what about those huge mansions that more or less mimic or are almost like imitations, frankly, of American mansions like in Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Brentwood,
Right.
you know?
Right. Well, those mansions, I grew up in one.
Really? Whereabouts specifically?
In Lagos.
Lagos.
Lagos, Nigeria, yes. And I think that's the way...
Which part of Lagos, by the way?
I grew up in a place called Ikeja.
Oh, that is near the airport?
Yes, yes. I grew up in that area, and I feel like those mansions are the kind of homes we see back then. But, of course, the West doesn't know that. They don't show that. They don't show places like that in Africa.
They don't talk about Ikoyi?
They don't talk about Ikoyi. They don't talk about Jare. They don't talk about Lekki.
Victoria?
Yeah, Victoria Island. And those beautiful and gorgeous places are never really shown or talked about.
Abuja. You go to Abuja.
I haven't personally been to Abuja,
You
but I
have
would
been
love
to Abuja?
No, I haven't.
Are you sure you're Nigerian?
Is that because
I am Nigerian.
Is that because you are patriotic Lagosian? Because let's face it, Abuja can be very impressive.
It is very impressive.
Except
so
from the only problem, of course, is when you come from the Nigerian founding president, Dr. Nandi Azikiwe International Airport. Just before you come to the real Abuja, you find the real people.
Right.
On the left, slums really.
Yeah, yeah.
Beggars and all that kind of stuff.
See, that's the contrast in Nigeria. You have those places that have the mansions and have the great buildings, and you have the slums, and there's just a big divide and that contrast in places in Africa, really.
You have the same in Los Angeles. Except that, of course, Beverly Hills, Brentwood, Bel Air, Westwood, they're not close to Compton.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But it's very interesting. It's very interesting that we have an opportunity to interact with you here. And,
absolutely.
We are able to smell, breathe the same air with you.
So, my pleasure.
What is your impression, so far of Straight Talk Africa? Is this the first time you've been on this show?
It's my first time on the show.
Is it the first time you've been on a Voice of America television, radio platform?
Radio platform, I've been on Voice of America before, but not on TV.
I see.
Yes.
You're most welcome. Come again.
Thank you so much.
You're tuned into Straight Talk Africa, and we'll have more of a discussion in a moment. But first, here is Mariama Jaro. Take it away, Mariama.
Welcome to, of course, RM. We already know him, Roger. I'm so excited that you guys are here with us. Still to come, we'll reveal some of the fantastic feedback we've received from our audience through social media. But now, here is our letter of the week. Okugbo Omunua Igodalo from Abuja in Nigeria writes, Nollywood and Rumba have the most influence on the continent, although for the most part, these African genres of music and cinema portray Africans as immoral, crude, and visionless people. The most important issue to be addressed by Africa's entertainment industry is, how do we use entertainment as a tool to transform Africa, to make our people more refined, productive, and self-respecting?
Like Voice of America on Facebook. Follow VOA on Twitter. Join VOA on our YouTube channel. Like, follow, join VOA.
Welcome back to Straight Talk Africa, live from Washington. Once again, it's time to bring in my colleague and social media reporter. Take it away again, Mariama.
Shaka, Nigeria's movie industry, Nollywood, follows only the United States and India in terms of volume of revenue generation and annual film productions. It has contributed greatly to Nigeria's economy, making it the biggest economy in Africa, replacing recently South Africa. Meanwhile, West African music continues to show enormous influence, becoming more popular than the once very popular Congolese music genre of soukous, rumba, reggae, soul, and bongo flavor. Well, this brings us to our question of the week, which asks, what genre of African music and cinema do you think has the most influence on the continent? And you responded with a lot of passion. Let's begin right away with a comment from Abiyamu Solomon, who writes, in my opinion, Afro dance, reggae, hip-hop, religious music, traditional dance, and tarab are most dominant, while action movies, love stories, and adventure films are influential in cinema. Well, our next comment comes from Samuel Elamu in Uganda, who writes, there's a lot of segregation in African music and cultures. If you play good music but are from a minority tribe, it's possible you could be killed. Wow. Here in Uganda, if you are not rich, your music is not likely to be played, and you will not get any support or sponsors. Well, Shaka and guests, what do you make of these comments?
Well, what about that, Rogers?
I mean, I just don't understand that last one that you can get killed if you play somebody. That is his opinion. You were saying it earlier when we started the show that music's supposed to be
a universal language.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be cutting across. In fact, it does. Yes. But that is his personal opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It may not necessarily, frankly, be what you would call his different sets of facts and what have you. But maybe he gets that kind of reaction. Why would he be complaining about music, being a subject of discrimination, that if you come from a very insignificant ethnic community, for example, the music may not be played? Is that your experience, really?
That's kind of disturbing, actually, because everyone that's trying to get in the industry don't have all the resources they need. So if you're not affluential and not rich, and that just kills your career to begin with, it's kind of disturbing, actually.
I thought that music, in fact, on the contrary, becomes a sort of common denominator. Right. That is where the rich and those who are not actually meet and, get down. Huh? Mariam, please share more of our Facebook feedback.
Well, let's move on to a posting from Maurice Allen, who says, Afro jazz, pop, rumba, reggae, and lingala for some time has galvanized the continent. The likes of Yvonne Shaka Shaka, Lucky Dube, and Papa Wemba has us wiggling, I should say, our waist. I'm actually moving my waist as I say that. And Ugandan maestro Philly Lutaya really did it for me. And in cinema, South African films have left an indelible mark on my mind, and Nollywood has been a pleasant late entrant. Well, let's check out another post while we're at it, this time from Othin Jeremiah, who writes, Nollywood and local African movies have a big influence on the continent. In terms of music, reggae, folk, and Afrobeat, we have also had a big influence. Music from artists like Miriam Makeba and Brenda Fassie is still popular, even among the younger generation. It has been a great year on Straight Talk Africa. Let's remember to keep the African hopes alive. Well, we thank you and all those who tune in every week to our show. Shaka and guest, your thought on these last two comments. Very a little more positive.
Very interesting. Elizabeth? Yes. Yeah, react. How do you react?
It's true, like one of the comments said, that Nollywood has been a pleasant, industry, late entrant. And I believe that we're just starting. I feel like there are a lot of producers out there right now making great movies and not just, cutting on costs and taking shortcuts, but they're really, really trying hard For example, Half of a Yellow Sun. I love that movie. It was really great.
You appeared in that?
I wasn't in it. No, I was not in it. But it was Hollywood standard movie for the first time in our
that is the one that is crossing over?
Yes, it's crossing over. It's kind of across all, industries, and I just feel like we're just getting started. And there's a platform that has been laid by the starters of this industry, and I think we're just going to only build on that.
But why can't you do that? You talk about resources. You have plenty of resources. You come from a country that has the title, for example, of being Africa's largest economy.
Right.
You took over from South Africa. You have more than 25 multi-billionaires, some of the richest people, not only on the continent, but in the world. Mm-hmm. You have a man called Dangote, for example. Right. Yeah. He's about mid-70s in terms of being the richest man on this planet Earth. Mm-hmm. You have plenty of oil and gas. Sure. So how can you complain about money? Is it because you have failed to sell yourselves among your own people? You have the largest population on the continent. Right. Therefore, you have the largest market, as a matter of fact, domestic market. Mm-hmm. You can use that and essentially compromise everyone else on the continent and make the big bucks, just like Hollywood does.
Right. I believe there's a lot of probably politics behind closed doors. Always. There's always going to be something going on like that. But I believe right now, even the country is investing in the industry. For example, there was one movie that came out a few years ago that in Lagos, they invested millions of dollars to make that movie. And I feel like they're beginning to trust in the industry and invest more. And I feel like that's where we're going right now.
And I was going to add on that one, Shaka, because when Nollywood started, they were not taking it serious. It was underestimated. They did not take it seriously. Exactly. They didn't take it seriously. I mean, people were making African films, Nollywood films with a little camera.
Yes.
Today, we're shooting with 35 millimeter camera,
right.
All those expensive HD cameras today. And that's because they saw the impact even here in the U.S. and London and all the places.
Well, isn't that the common denominator of a lot of these important international corporations? I mean, look at Microsoft. Mm-hmm. Where did it begin? In a garage.
Exactly.
Well,
where they are today.
Thanks, Mariama, for bringing us this week's audience reaction.
Well, that does it for today's social media segment. Just a reminder that as the year comes to an end, we appreciate all your feedback, whether it's in social media form or using other means to communicate to us. Hope that 2014 was everything you wanted it to be, and wishing that next year tops your expectations. Happy New Year. And please don't forget to keep your comments coming. If you are a new fan, just drop us a line at africatv@voanews.com. Once again, our email address is africatv@voanews.com. Or post your comment on our Facebook page. Just enter the keywords Straight Talk Africa. Be sure to visit us online at voaafrica.com, or you can join our YouTube channel. Just subscribe to VOA TV to Africa and follow us on Twitter at VOA Shaka. Now let's take a look at what's on tap for next week's program. Next week on Straight Talk Africa, we'll review this year's headline stories, and we'll also discuss the continent's outlook for 2015. That and more next week, right here on Straight Talk Africa.
Welcome back. We're talking about the influence of Nollywood and popular music on the African continent. Our guest, Elizabeth London, one of the most talented transcontinental actress and model who hails from Nigeria. She has appeared in several Nollywood and some Hollywood movies. And Roger Muntu, host of the RM show, Voice of America's French to Africa's interactive multimedia program, a native of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I have to say, Elizabeth and Rogers, once again, that I'm profoundly honored and exceedingly humbled to have the opportunity to host you for the first time, frankly, on Straight Talk Africa.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.
Come again. Now, Roger, you have, we've talked about of course, the masters, the Franco, the Rocheroux, and I told you, of course, especially Franco. As a result of that, I have a friend of mine in Uganda. If she's watching or listening, she can be assured that I still remember her as Mario because of that Mombasa experience. It was a very good experience. But what about the younger people, the newer generation? We're talking about people like Kofi Olomide.
Kofi Olomide. Kofi Olomide, Papa Wemba came after that.
Right. The big man, the huge man, Papa Wemba.
Exactly, Papa Wemba. Shalamwana for female, and we talked about Billy Abel. And all those, there were products coming from, every time I interview this big artist, they mention the name of Franco and Taboulé as well, because they took also that torch from those guys to continue.
They stood on those guys' shoulders in order to see a little bit further. Correct?
Correct. That is true. That is totally true. But there's also the generation of younger now, today, of Fali Ipupa, right? Fali Ipupa, who are also much younger, but the impact is amazing, because artists like Fali Ipupa, these are the artists who are now taking Congolese music out of the Congo context to, if there's an artist who's going to be played on American radios today, it's going to be Fali Ipupa. And the reason why he's doing featuring with other American artists. He did a song with R. Kelly, who's an American artist, for instance. That would give them a chance to be, played in other countries as well.
Rogers, for my own selfish reasons, what is your most favorite music genre, as far as Africa is concerned?
As the African concern, I cannot even stop. I can't even think about it, because I know it's Congolese music.
Really?
It's my music.
Why?
Because we're the best. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're entitled, of course,
I'm just kidding about that.
to your opinion,
to
your biases, but not without any
Congolese
foundation,
music,
really.
Because, Shaka, I'm an artist myself. Okay?
And why are you an artist, in fact? Why are you a musician? There are a lot of other things that you could have done.
Because we can't help it in the Congo. In the Congo, out of 10 houses, you have 3 artists. Out of every block, you have a bar, you have a club.
Why are you great dancers? I mean, you are just like acrobatic.
See my...
What are you going to do tomorrow, in fact?
It's because we dance all the time. Look at me.
In your country tomorrow, what do you call tomorrow in your country? Ubunani? Bunani.
Yeah, Bunani.
Can you imagine what people are going to be doing?
It's just because we're used to it. It's because we can't help it. And so to answer your question, it's Congolese music. And that's how I grew up listening. That's how I grew up appreciating. And Congolese music, for any artist who knows music, it's hard to play Congolese music.
And of course, as we said a little bit earlier, it's a hybrid.
Correct.
Of authentic.
Correct.
Bantu.
Correct.
And
Cuban music. Brazilian, rumba here, tango here, salsa here. The mixture
Portuguese, probably.
Portuguese. Oh, they had a lot of impact. True. There's a lot of impact on that music. And pretty much what we did with their music, we made the music become African music. And guess what? They are now calling for African artists to play with them. In Brazil, you'll find a lot of Brazilian major artists who play with African music.
Very interesting. Yeah. A reminder that you are tuned in to Straight Talk Africa. We'll continue our discussion in a moment, so please don't go away.
Once again, let's take a look at Nigeria's Nollywood. In 2013, Nollywood produced more film than both Hollywood and Bollywood. Nollywood produces between 1,000 and 2,000 films a year, with an annual turnover of about $250 million. The Nigerian government has set aside $200 million for Nollywood. The industry has also received $20 million in funds from the World Bank. The African Movie Academy Award was created in 2005, and it's now the most prestigious award in Nollywood.
If you like today's show, please write and tell us what you think or give us some suggestions. Be sure to tell us what station you're tuned into. Our address, Straight Talk Africa, Voice of America, 330 Independence Avenue Southwest, Washington, D.C. 20237 USA. Or send us an email at africatv@voanews.com. Log on to our website at voaafrica.com. Or post your comments on Facebook. Keywords Straight Talk Africa.
Thank you very much, Esther Gidui. Let me come back to my sister from Lagos, and that is, of course, Elizabeth London.
Yes.
I would have thought you would have been, perhaps, Elizabeth Lagos.
Oh, Kinshasa, why not?
Yeah, how did you become Elizabeth London?
Well, it's my stage name. My mother's name is Elizabeth, and so I decided to take that on. I love my mom. I always wanted to be like her.
Oh, really?
And London is a city I love, and it was a strong city in the 1800s, and everyone coveted to have London, to conquer London. And I'm a strong woman, and I felt like London will represent me.
You say you love your mom?
Yes.
Is she around by any chance?
Yes.
Just in case she might be watching you.
Yes, I always wanted to be like her.
What would you say to her, given the context of being, frankly, on the verge of breaking into 2015?
Oh, my God. Mom.
You could look in the camera and straighten.
If you're watching, I love you so much. Thank you for all your support, your love, your constant belief in me. Happy New Year in advance. I love you.
Terrific, terrific. Why are you an actress? Why did you decide to be an artist? And for that matter, an actress?
I always wanted to be an artist and an actress since I was young. I was little. I joined my high school drama club, and I was in it for about 4 years, and I absolutely fell in love. I fell in love with it then. And right out of high school, I just wanted to go to New York and go to acting school and all that stuff. But of course, when you have African parents, they tell you, well, that's not going to pay the bills. You got to do something, you know, that's going to pay the bills. So I decided to go to college, and I studied management. And after graduation, I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. This is what my heart tells me. This is what I want to do. This is what I have a passion for. And I did. And I landed my first Nollywood film in 2009. And it's just been great. It's just been a great experience ever since.
How many Nollywood films have you been part of?
You kind of lose count.
What about some of the most important, and why?
Okay, the most important ones, Bianca, All Things, Vengeance is Mine. I had a series on DSTV called Gals, Gals. It was 13 episodes long.
Does that make you a Nollywood star?
I'm humble.
What happens when you land at Ikeja, the General Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Ikeja? What happens? How do you go through the customs and the immigration and what have you?
Just guys, maybe. Maybe they won't know my face, because you're always changing as an actor, especially a female. You know, your hair changes, your makeup changes all the time. So maybe they won't recognize me.
They'll think you're just a regular actor.
Yeah.
And how many Hollywood movies have you appeared in?
I've done Netflix, House of Cards, Political Animal, Do No Harm.
And what was the reaction?
It was great. I played featured roles. They weren't like huge roles, but for me, it was great. Because it was really, really hard to break into. So I was happy, even though the roles were really, small, but I was happy to just break into it. And I do both Nollywood and Hollywood. but I feel like I represent more of Nollywood because that's where my passion is, and that's what gave me my start, and I'll always be proud of that.
What would you say, for example, is your New Year's resolution in as far as your profession is concerned?
Taking it to the next level.
What goals do you have in mind?
Excuse me?
What specific goals do you have in mind? For
specific goals? I would love to start in some major productions. Those are some of my goals. And perhaps start my own talk show online. I feel like I have a lot to share, a lot to give, and I would love to do that. That's one of my personal goals. You
participate in a lot of movies that perhaps talk about romance, talk about social cultural challenges and all that kind of stuff. What about education? What about using that medium, frankly, given its power? Why can't you, in Nollywood, do things to do with, for example, sensitizing the ordinary audience of your genre, especially in attaining their social, political freedoms on the continent?
You know, especially in Nollywood, it's about what sells. Romance sells. Stories like that do sell. And stories about politics and education and things like that might not break through as much, might be hampered.
Single education?
You'd be surprised.
What about, let's say, Ebola, for example? You have Ebola. We have had HIV, AIDS, and all that kind of stuff. Don't you sincerely think that Nollywood has a role to play in that?
Yeah, but I mean, to jump in, if I may, I wouldn't sit here because even myself and Sue, we've worked in some Nollywood film before. I wouldn't sit here and say that Nollywood doesn't do that.
Okay.
No, that's not true. Nollywood does also that. Like Sue said, yeah, the romance sell, but there's also some educational movies. For instance, one of the major directors, John Uche, produces some great movies that educate the younger generation about marriage, about those kind of things. It's not just about romance, but I love you, you love me, and that's it. And also something else that I need to mention quickly, Shaka, is that Nollywood has just left the Nollywood. They created what we call now Nollywood America, you know, that is now produced here in the United States, given that is also a big market here in the U.S. You know, a quick story.
Are you part of that?
I'm part of that, and Sue is part of that.
And how different is this from the one based in Lagos? Because I have seen the Los Angeles-based Africa Channel television, by the way, on which we also appear. But frankly, when you look at it, it's not what I would call, or someone would call, a realistic portrayal or reflection of the African continent.
You know, the world evolve, and Shaka, there's a big community of Africans now living in the United States. The culture that we live in the United States is mixed now. We come in with our background from Africa. This is also our country now. We're Americans. So we learn also from America, and we try to get the best of here, and put it together. That's the Nollywood America. That's the Nollywood America that we're doing here now, which also give American the perspective of those African who live here. It's not just the Africa the way they show us most of the time on TV, but it's also those African who are educated, who want to do something for the country, who also want to do, who want to do something good. And that's the message they're trying to send. You'd be amazed today. I have African American friends who every Saturday they are so hooked into Nollywood films. They go to Netflix or other places to rent African films. That's it. That's how they spend the weekend. That's great. That's bringing two different cultures together.
Roger, by the way, I didn't really want to take it away from you because I gather that, in fact, you're also a very serious Nollywood star in your own right.
Who told you?
Is that true? Reading about it.
You did a lot of research there. Well, Baksu, I'm humble. Star, I wouldn't say it that way. Shaka was a passion for me since I was growing up. I was an actor when I was in high school. It's something that I always wanted to do. and given that Nollywood was coming out, say, hey, why not help the African movie or film industry? And that's why we joined the Nollywood America in order to produce. So every summer we work with major Nollywood actors. Omotola, we worked with John Uche, Van Vicker, all those. We work with all of them, even though they live in Nigeria or other places around the world. But we bring them here in America to make a movie here. Matter of fact, now, last year we had a film festival where American movie actors came to support us, and now they're playing in Nollywood films.
A
lot of them now are playing. For instance, who's the Asian-born that did with Kobe Maxwell, the movie? Ceylon, and then the bold guy, I forgot what's his name. He'll come. But most of those actors now are also joining the Nollywood film because they want to contribute to that, because they like it, because Nollywood has proven themselves that, hey, we're here to stay. We can't go anywhere. Help us, and that's what's happening now.
Earlier we were talking about great musicians from the land of your birth. But I remember we also talked about how there is no museum, for example. Frankly, there is no centralized place where you can find the contributions of these great masters so that the younger generation, these upcoming musicians and what have you, frankly can find ready shoulders to climb on in order to see a little bit further.
Exactly. And
any suggestions about this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
if you, for example, if President Joseph Kabila of the Democratic Republic of Congo were watching Straight Talk Africa right now, and you had an opportunity to talk to him, and you looked in the camera, what would you say to him as far as that is concerned? Because I know he's also a lover of Congolese music. Of course.
I'll say, Mr. President, and this is really important, that for cultural reasons, to have a museum for the country, because Congo has contributed for so many years in the entertainment, African entertainment, and it's about time now for us to have a museum in Matonge, your favorite area, right? Why not? That will have things that those artists have created. You see what I'm saying? We see it here in D.C. We see artists in Michael Jackson. If you want to see Michael Jackson's jacket,
I can't wait for that. And they would have a restaurant, for example, where would also have Pasoni Fome. On that note, thanks to our distinguished guest, Elizabeth London, one of the most talented transcontinental actress and model who hails from Nigeria, and Roger Muntu, host of VOA's dynamic RM radio show. Thanks to affiliate stations, along with our viewers and listeners. We thank you for tuning in. For many of our Voice of America radio affiliates, Learning English is coming up next, and tomorrow morning it's Daybreak Africa with James Bate. On behalf of the Voice of America, thanks for tuning into Straight Talk Africa. In the meantime, get better, not bitter. And please remember to keep the African hope alive in the 2015. A Happy New Year, of course. Keep hope alive.